Hello everyone, Dennis Sullivan here, Sports Snippets. How in the world are you? Here to discuss the Eastern Conference. I got some stats, I got some feedback, I got some commentary talking about the playoff chase as we head towards the home stretch of the regular season, NBA 2021. If you do like the content, this particular video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. That would be awesome. Would really appreciate that. Also, consider subscribing to my channel, Sports Snippets with Dennis Sullivan. Hit the notification bell also for future videos. That would be very cool as well. So let's get right into it, guys. Was finding a few pieces of data and just looking through the Eastern Conference teams, watching some games here and there on my own, which I always do anyway. And really just have some observations for you I wanted to share as we're heading into definitely the home stretch of the last 18, 19 games of the regular season. Some teams actually in more like the 17, 18 game range as far as remaining regular season games. And what it's boiling down to, of course, 8 teams are going to make the playoffs as always. And remember, it's only a 72-game regular season. You're really looking at 6 teams that are going for the last 5 spots. And what I mean by that is, specifically, we know the Sixers, the Nets, and the Milwaukee Bucks not only are going to be in the playoffs, you could pretty much cement them in the top 3 spots. And you could almost put Milwaukee as a number 3. Pretty much guaranteed. I don't know if you want to use the word guarantee, but pretty much as a number 3 team in as far as seedings go. Then you got the remaining 6 go a little something like this. You got the Hawks, the Heat, the Charlotte Hornets, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, Indiana Pacers. Indiana's 25 and 27. Then there's a big drop. Chicago Bulls 22 and 31. Barring a major turnaround by the Bulls, Toronto, I guess you could throw Washington in there at 20 and 33. Those 3 teams are pretty much out. Chicago, Toronto, Washington, barring a major turnaround. It's really going to come down to, in all likelihood, if Charlotte holds up. See, we got to see how that works out. If they do, because they've been playing pretty good lately. I mean, this team has been, they're 27 and 25. It could easily come down to the 8th seed between the Knicks and the Pacers, guys. Now, let me touch on the Bucks real quick. Here's what I think's going on with the Bucks. I think they're just saying, you know what, we're going to take the 3rd seed. Let's just do that. In other words, and I agree with the strategy, because Atlanta is about 4.5 games going. This is all going into Tuesday night's action, by the way, when I look at like the records and how many games back. Atlanta, 4.5 games behind Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got a nice little cushion ahead of the 4th, 5th, 6th seeds like that. Yet they're 3.5 games out of 1st and 3 games behind the Nets, who are currently in 2nd. So, and then you couple the fact that Milwaukee has had Giannis, who's not been 100%, he's had the knee trouble, he's missed 5 games. They're basically saying, you know what, and this is smart, they're just saying, we're going to take our time with Giannis. This is not only our franchise player, this is arguably the best player in the Eastern Conference. Some Sixer fans may argue that with Joel Embiid. I hear you. But I think I might take Giannis. I'm starting the team tomorrow. If I had to choose between everyone in the Eastern Conference, it would be a toss-up between him and Embiid. They're just saying, you know what? Take your time, Giannis. Take your time. We're good as we are. We're good in this 3rd spot. They're just trying to hold on to 3rd spot. I could see it a mile away, guys. They know that it's going to be tough because it's not that they probably don't think 3 games is insurmountable. It's just that you got to count on Brooklyn Nets and Sixers losing games to catch them, and see, a lot of this is out of their control at this point. 18, 19 games left. Now you got to count on the Nets losing games and the Sixers. So they're taking their time with Giannis. They're probably going to be more than happy with the 3rd seed. Second round, in all likelihood, they're in the second round. What's the big difference anyway? I mean, big deal. You're getting one less home game against, in all likelihood, the Nets or Sixers as a 2 seed. I mean, and you get a healthy Giannis. You're not rolling the dice with his health and his knee in the regular season. So now that we got that out of the way, looking at Indiana and the Knicks, I want to talk about that for a second. Now, currently, Indiana, if the season were to end Tuesday night, Indiana, shockingly, would not be in the playoffs. The Pacers, 25-27. You've got to be kidding me with that. Because, in my opinion, that's underachieve in the highest degree. Indiana Pacers, not only are they a deep team, they have a good bench, a spectacular 1-2 punch with Brogdon at guard, and of course you have Domantas Sabonis, arguably the most underrated front court player in the NBA. He's one of them. I mean, an all-star, deserved all-star, Domantas Sabonis. You kidding me? And you have LeVert. You have a good team there in Indiana. For them to be 25-27, I would expect a nice push these last 19, 20 games. Going into Tuesday, they played 52 games, so they have 20 games left. Expect a nice push by the Pacers, guys. The Knicks are at 28-27, holding on to the 8th seed. Here's who they started in their last game. Julius Randle, Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, R.J. Barrett, Nerlens Noel. That's not going to overwhelm anyone. Julius Randle's having a tremendous season. He gets a lot of credit there. Nerlens Noel's a nice guy inside. The one thing they're doing, though, with Thibodeau, Coach Thibodeau, he's bringing 2 of his players from Chicago, and he used to coach the Bulls, off the bench, and that's a key, in Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson. So those are 2 good guys to have coming off your bench. And I'll tell you what, Thibodeau's, he's one of the best coaches in the whole league. He definitely needs to get, deservedly so, consideration for Coach of the Year. Hands down, guys. You got to be kidding me. Leading the Knicks to a 28-27 record. The Nets in their last game, with Harden out with a strained right hamstring, they started Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. They now have LaMarcus Aldridge, Jeff Green, and Joe Harris. So Harden comes back, obviously, soon. You're going to have the big 3 of Harden, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and now LaMarcus Aldridge. Nets are going to be really tough to beat come playoff time. However, there are a few other teams, the Heat, who I do plenty of videos on. You guys that have seen my videos before know that. That's the team in my area here where I live. That's my local team. They are improved. Not saying that they're going to go to the finals automatically. They're in consideration. The Sixers currently having a half a game lead over the Nets. Sixers at 37-17, the Nets 36-17. Here's the thing, though. When the Nets won all those games, they beefed up the roster, of course. They pick up Harden. Everyone's like the Nets are taking over the East. But you know what? The Sixers have just kind of held serve all along, and they've maintained a very, very, very narrow lead, but they've maintained that lead. Their last game, they started Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons. That's a nice 3 right there. That's a big 3 in itself. Seth Curry, Danny Green, and then coming off the bench, scoring 20 points the last game, Furkan Korkmaz. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Korkmaz. And he's been playing big. He's had a couple of 20-point games as of late. So that's just something to keep in mind, guys. The Sixers are tough, and Embiid, in my opinion, that is your MVP this year. He's basically dominating inside. He will cause a lot of problems in the playoffs. The one thing about the Nets, even though they picked up LaMarcus Aldridge, do they have enough at the defensive end consistently? And do they have enough inside as far as a total effort? You know what I mean? Like, how much are they going to throw at you inside? Are they going to win the battle of the boards in tough playoff games? That is an unanswered question with the Nets. I don't think you have as much concern with Philadelphia, though, when it comes to that topic. I'll close out by saying this. Just a few final thoughts, guys. Whoever thinks the Celtics are going to go down quietly has got something seriously mistaken in terms of rating these teams. Check out their starting five last game they played. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams. That's a strong five, guys. Really, with four big names right there. You got a seasoned veteran, a tough, rugged rebounder in Tristan Thompson coming off your bench. More in like a six-man role. They have a lot of rebounding on their bench, do the Celtics. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to pretend the Celtics get a 7 or 6 seed. Who the heck wants to play them in the first round? And they're not going to go down quiet. There's no way. I refuse to believe that. Now, after the Bucks, guys, Atlanta currently by a half game. Everything's a half game after you get the first 3 seeds out of the way. Atlanta's 29-25. The Heat are 28-25. Charlotte 27-25. So it's just a matter of one extra win between those 3 teams. Boston 28-26. Knicks 28-27. And then Indiana 25-27. So between Atlanta, 4th seed, and Indiana, currently the 9th seed, you're only looking at like 3 games. you're really not looking at much. So it's going to be really interesting on how the seeding goes. You want to avoid the 6th, 7th, 8th seed because you want to avoid the big 3 in the Eastern Conference. Nets, Bucks, and of course the Sixers. So you want to grab that 4th or 5th seed. One last thing, guys. Milwaukee has the highest scoring. You're not going to believe this. The Milwaukee Bucks averaged the most points in the Eastern Conference, if you could believe it or not. 119 points a game. The Nets, with all that scoring with Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, are right behind them, but they're in second, 118.7. So how's that for a statistic? Milwaukee Bucks are technically, by fractions of a point, really, the highest scoring team in an average points per game basis in the Eastern Conference. The team that's letting up the most points is, get this, guys, well, the Washington Wizards really are the letting up the most points. But right behind them, I'm doing a quick check, guys. I know I'm not looking at the camera now because I'm focusing on my statistics here on my paper. But right behind them, as far as letting up the most points, there you go. Brooklyn Nets, 114.4. So this is getting more and more interesting the more we think about this. Leave me a comment. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Let me know what you think. Sixers look tough. I mean, they have a half-game lead right now. I'm telling you right now, from top to bottom, the East is just as good, maybe even better from top to bottom as the West. But are the top 4 or 5 in the East as good as the West? I don't know about that. That's a different story. But from 1 through 8, the East is pretty tough this year, guys. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'll see you, yes, you, real soon. Bye for now.